The biggest team, the most local news coverage, live from Denver. This is Fox 31 News at 3. We're on it.
And we thank you so much for joining us here on this Tuesday afternoon on a Fox 31 News at 3 o'clock. I'm Matt Morrow.
And I'm Talia Cunningham, joined with Pinpoint weather meteorologist Liz McGiffin. Another warm and dry day today with some red flag warnings out in the foothills. Similar to those conditions we had yesterday, we saw a fire spark, and we brought you that breaking news right here at 3 o'clock.
And here's new video of that fire that was in the Louisville area. North Metro Fire says that fire sparked from a spark and quickly spread across a field because of the dry and windy conditions. You see some of the flames right there and how the wind is blowing them around and the smoke as well. Right now, hoping not to see a repeat of this today, though we certainly know the danger is out there. Let's get right to Pinpoint weather meteorologist Liz McGiffin, who's tracking the windy, dry conditions. Liz.
And like you mentioned from that fire that sparked yesterday, we're not talking about Mother Nature's starting fires, but these red flag warnings or those high fire danger warnings, they're out there because we could rapidly see fire spread should anything spark. This red flag warning in the pink, it does include a good chunk of some of the western suburbs of Denver as you head into the foothills, and then pushing down to the south as you enter the Palmer Divide, more so down toward Colorado Springs. The big concern again is that we are dry and windy. We could continue as we head toward 5 o'clock to see those wind gusts anywhere from 45 to 55 miles per hour. Looking farther down to the south, Colorado Springs into Pueblo, same story, continuing along with these high fire danger warnings that go until 5 o'clock this evening. As far as those wind gusts go, they have calmed down a little bit. You'll notice Denver area still getting some of those 25 mile per hour gusts straight out of the west. Boulder over 30 mile per hour gust. Once you hit pass level, Berthoud Pass at this point, nearly 50 mile per hour gusts still out there. And taking a look a little closer across the metro, we are still seeing some of those 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts. It's going to be as you gain elevation. Look at spots like Dakota Hill. Nearly 70 mile per hour wind gust at last check. And then we take you outside, you can see the dry air. And by that, I mean, not only are we rain and snow free, but we are not seeing any clouds out in the sky. Right now, we're 56 degrees, seeing more of those 50s as we push off to the east, 40s for your higher elevations. And then dry conditions, like we mentioned, still out there on the satellite and radar. As we head toward the end of the week, I'm keeping an eye on some big changes heading our way, including the chance for snowfall for Thursday and Friday. I'll go over the timing and the latest totals in your full Pinpoint weather forecast coming up.
All right, sounds good, Liz. We'll see you in a few minutes. Well, new at 3 today, we're learning new information about Friday's massive fire that ripped through a Denver apartment complex that was under construction right here on Leetsdale Drive.
And fire investigators still don't have a specific cause, but we're learning that investigators from all across the country are stepping in to help. Fox 31's Courtney Fromm joins us live outside that building with the very latest on this investigation. Courtney, what are you learning?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, the smell of the building is so distinct in the area, and the destruction itself. People drive by, they're kind of turning their heads because it is a huge building that is completely destroyed, and man, oh man, it's kind of tough to look at. To give you an idea of just how big that fire was, fire crews from Friday on the initial response to yesterday, they used 18 million gallons of water to get this thing under control. Now, Denver Fire hosting a press conference just about an hour and a half ago, telling us they know how difficult this fire has been and will be on the community, from businesses having to close their doors and homes damaged from the nearby flames. Now, Denver Fire brought in human remains search dogs. Those are cadaver dogs. And to this point, they say nothing was found in the area that they were able to search. Now, the National Response Team with ATF will be working this investigation alongside Denver Fire. The initial response had more than 100 firefighters battle the 5-alarm fire Friday night. One firefighter was injured, and we learned today, this is the good news here, he had a shoulder injury but is doing okay. Now, there was actually security on scene of the building, again, because it was empty and it was unoccupied when that fire broke out, which Denver Fire says played a huge hand into how fast this whole thing moved.
There's some other things with this building being unoccupied that really hurt us from the onset, is that it didn't really have full fire protection stuff in place. No fire alarms, no working sprinklers, right? In your home or your apartment, you have drywall, which slows down fire spread, not fully drywalled. So this was able to run. There was no fire stops. Fire was really able to run pretty cleanly for a while, and just got to a point where then it just took over the rest of the building. The hidden fire that you're talking about, some of this fire we just can't get to. It's covered up, it's hidden by collapse. I can't send firefighters in there because of the danger of more collapse. So we just kind of have hose lines on top, hoping we can kind of get that water in there somehow and put that fire out. Until this building really gets fully collapsed behind me, you're going to see a little bit of residual smoke activity.
Now, the other big thing going on here is the traffic on Leedsdale Drive. There's no estimate yet on when those extra lanes will reopen. They have it closed off for those fire trucks and fire crews. But again, right now, they're just trying to get to the bottom of what caused this fire. They are investigating every aspect possible, but they did open a specific tip line for this fire. They're asking if you saw anything leading up to it Friday night to call, text, send videos in. They'd love to have it. That number for you is 720-672-5101. For now, live in Denver, Courtney from Fox 31.
All right, appreciate that update, Courtney. Thank you. Also new at 3 o'clock, with no plan in sight to bring more wolves into Colorado this year, Colorado Parks and Wildlife could face an even bigger problem. A letter from Brian Nesvig, that's the director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, threatened to terminate our state's authority to manage wolves unless we meet certain conditions. Nesvig demands Colorado provide a report of all gray wolf conservation and management activities between December 12th of 2023. The day the first wolves were released to today. The report must also include a narrative summary and documents associated with CPW's decision to bring wolves from British Columbia. The director says all this information is due by January 18th.
A new report finds Colorado's prisons will run out of beds for men in the next fiscal year unless the state makes significant changes to either reduce the prison population or increase capacity. The Colorado Department of Corrections can house about 15,000 men, but a new state report says the prison population could swell to more than 16,000 in 2026. There are about 900 currently unused beds, largely because of staffing. Those could become usable with boosted funding, but even then, Colorado would still be 230 to 440 beds short in the coming years.
And developing this afternoon, the Venezuelan government is trying to show its people and the world that the country is not controlled by the U.S.
But an oil embargo and escalating pressure by the White House are making that mission difficult. Fox's Steve Harrigan has the very latest from Colombia.
Here at this border crossing, you can see Colombia's security presence increasing. More soldiers, more guards. They're ready for trouble if things go south in Venezuela, and hundreds of thousands of refugees head this way. Across the border, gunfire was heard in Venezuela's capital overnight near the presidential palace. Police say they were shooting at unauthorized drones, but there are serious questions emerging about who is running the country. Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, was sworn in as interim president. She's in a tough spot, caught between hardline military leaders at home and the White House demanding cooperation.
We have the most powerful, most lethal, most sophisticated, and most fearsome. It's a fearsome military on planet Earth.
It's also unclear if Maduro's arrest will be the start of a regime change. President Trump says opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who just won the Nobel Peace Prize, will not be Venezuela's next leader. But she says she's heading back there as soon as she can.
At this moment, I'm more useful to our cause, being able to speak out from where I am right now. But I'm planning to go as soon as possible back home.
Meanwhile, here in Colombia, the war of words with the U.S. is escalating, with President Gustavo Petro threatening to personally take up arms if President Trump tries any new military moves.
I think any adversary of the United States should be concerned about what they saw the United States do.
All this happens as the U.S. oil embargo puts the squeeze on Venezuela's economy. In Cucuta, Colombia, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
All right, Steve, thank you. Meanwhile, widespread protests in Iran enter their 10th day today. The anti-government protests sparked are by an economic crisis all unfolding in Iran. So human rights activists report at least 35 people have died in these demonstrations that started back on December 28th. There's some video from those demonstrations. President Donald Trump says that U.S. military action in Iran could be possible if civilians die in protests. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson accusing both Israeli and U.S. officials of making comments that, quote, encourage violence.
Nothing but incitement to violence, terrorism, and killing in the language of international norms. Therefore, we thank God that such individuals hold no credibility here.
Look, we're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
Iran's currency value has plummeted after the United Nations brought back sanctions over the country's atomic program. While many protesters have economic demands, some are now calling for freedom and the removal of Iran's authoritarian leadership.
Well, new today at 3, local health experts are breaking from the CDC and will not be changing vaccine guidelines for children here in Colorado, despite a big shift in vaccine policy from federal agencies just yesterday. The Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment says it recommends that families follow the childhood immunization schedule that has been issued by the American Academy of Pediatrics and developed by infectious disease experts. CDPHE also says Colorado's school and child care immunization requirements have not changed. The agency included that federal changes won't affect vaccine insurance coverage for Colorado families.
Well, today marks 5 years since President Trump's supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol following his loss in the 2020 presidential election. How lawmakers in our nation's capital are marking the anniversary.
And it's the start of another big election year with control of Congress up for grabs come November. Right after the break, how both parties are already strategizing.